What's up, everybody? This is Chris Surratt bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about some recalls that GM has come out with that are super major. We're also going to talk about Tesla and its new Gigafactory over in Texas. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the situation with a gentleman who decided he was going to take revenge on the police, shooting his son dead. And he decided he was going to commit vehicular murder or manslaughter by killing a decorated sheriff. All right, so first off, let's jump into it. We're talking about some recalls over at GM. And these are some super major recalls. GM is having a problem with some engines on some 6.2 liter engines that they have out, and it's pretty much all of their big SUV models, the Denali's, pretty massive amount of vehicles that they're having this recall on. So about 600,000. Let's check it out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Auto Alert. Today, we've got big news from General Motors. A massive recall affecting nearly 600,000 trucks and SUVs in the US due to a serious engine issue. If you own a GM vehicle, you'll want to stick around to find out if yours is affected and what to do next. Let's dive in! General Motors is recalling almost 600,000 vehicles equipped with their 6.2-liter V8 gas engines. This affects popular models from 2021 to 2024, including the Cadillac Escalade and Escalade ESV, Chevrolet Silverado 1500, Suburban Tahoe and GMC Sierra, 1500, Yukon, and Yukon XL. The problem? Manufacturing defects in the engine's connecting rods or crankshaft could lead to engine damage or even complete engine failure. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, this could increase the risk of a crash if the engine fails while driving. GM has reported 12 potentially related crashes and 12 injuries in the US, though most injuries were minor. So, what happens if you own one of these vehicles? GM is taking action. Starting June 9th, 2025, they'll send out letters notifying owners to bring their vehicles to a dealership for a free inspection. If the engine passes, it'll get a higher viscosity oil, 0W40 instead of the usual 0W20, along with a new oil filter, fill cap, and an owner's manual insert. If the engine fails the inspection...
Now that I'm thinking about it, they had almost this exact same recall over at Chrysler Dodge Jeep. If memory serves me correctly, they have this same recall for like the Jeep Grand Cherokee for a little while. And the thing about it is that they don't have a fix. They said June 9th. What isn't it May? So they expect you to start shipping into these dealerships on June 9th to have their engines inspected. And then the only fix they're going to do is an oil change with some heavier oil. Man, I don't know, bro.
Inspection, GM will repair or replace it at no cost. This recall isn't just in the US, it affects 721,000 vehicles worldwide. GM says they've already fixed the manufacturing issue for 2025 models, so those are safe. If you're wondering whether your vehicle is part of this recall, here's what to do. Check your VIN on the NHTSA's recall database at nhtsa.gov/recalls. Use recall number N252494000. Look out for warning signs like unusual engine noises, a check engine light, or performance issues like hesitation or reduced power. If you notice these, don't wait, get your vehicle checked ASAP. That's the latest on GM's big recall. Stay informed, stay safe, and keep your ride running smoothly. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more auto news. Got a GM vehicle? Drop a comment below.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and it's, this is not uncommon. It's fairly common for them to have engine problems in some of these vehicles, especially rods and not being tightened down correctly. But they're telling us that the fix for this situation, or if they don't find any problems, that they're going to just do an oil change and change the viscosity of your oil. And that's not a fix. You know, obviously they don't have a solid fix for the problem. They're probably in the process of just building a whole bunch of new engines, probably short blocks, so it'll be faster to put the engines back into the vehicles, so they can take care of any people who have massive problems. But what they're doing with the oil change situation is pretty much, you know, changing your oil out and then pushing you down the road for you to have a problem later on. I would, if it were me per se, I would probably go about a process of demanding that they replace my engine, because the defect that they're talking about could cause problems down the line after my warranties expire. And that's what they expect. They expect for people to come in, because they understand that to replace that engine is going to take some time. It's not going to be a one-day situation. They will probably, you know, put out a technical service bulletin with some idea for the technicians that are going to be replacing these engines to make it a lot faster, probably just replacing the short block or something simple in the process of replacing the engine that they can get away with, that would to some degree fix the problem. But I would not accept them just doing an oil change, because you know for a fact that your engine has some inclination of the problem in it, and that it could become a problem down the line. I would myself consider, because I know that it is a possibility, I know that it's been done before, because when I was working over at the CDJR building, or Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they had a similar problem in the engines in one of their vehicles as well, and it was a massive recall. You know, people had to come in, we had to inspect their engine. If we found a problem, then we would replace their short block, take probably 2 days. We had to put them in a rental for those 2 days. You know, it was a whole big old process. And GM's going to have to work that process out as to how they're going to do that, because obviously, you know, watching all the news and what I've seen about it, they don't have the honest to God fix. All they're doing is this storyline said that they fixed this problem for the 2025s, but I highly doubt that. It's possible, but the systems are the same. It's the same engine. So what did you do? Open the engine back up and replace the rod that's causing the problem? Dollars to donuts to fix the problem in the 2025 engines. All they did was change the oil in it, which they're going to do for you in your other vehicles if they don't find a problem. And they think that's going to fix the problem. I myself, if this was me, because I have a friend who has a Chevy Tahoe. He just bought a 2023, just got back from Hawaii, bought it cash, just how we do it. And the fact is that I had to tell him about this. And he was, you know, a little bit frustrated or whatever, but I'm going to help him through the process of getting his engine replaced. Because let's face it, if there is this problem in these engines and all they do, like this, you know, what team is it? Let me shout these people out real quick. But what Bike and Car Saga said was that, you know, replacing it with a 0W20 instead of a 0W40 was going to fix the problem. And it's not, guys. It's the problem's still going to be there. It's just not going to be as pronounced and loud, probably because of the heavier viscosity oil. That's all they're doing, is preventing a noticeable problem now, so that when a serious problem happens down the line, you're probably out of warranty. You've already taken care of the recall because you did the oil change with the heavier oil. So that's taking care of the recall. So if I were you and I owned a 2023 Chevy or GMC or Cadillac, Tahoe, Escalade, Sierra, Denali, any one of these vehicles, and you fall into this recall situation, and we will have the recall information in the description, so you can get a hold of people so to find out if you have this recall. I honestly suggest that when you go in there for that inspection, that you almost demand that they replace your engine. All right, let's keep it going. So next up, we're going to talk about Tesla and their new Gigafactory over in Texas. Now, why do we always talk about this type of thing? We love talking about new factories here in the U.S., new job opportunity, new everything that helps people who have lost jobs in this dying automotive industry to find jobs, specifically at factory jobs where, in most cases you'll have to have a certain level of education, but you just have to have the drive and the connections to get the job there, pretty much. So, I'm going to check out Lord Trump and Fox News as they go through the new Tesla Texas Gigafactory. Now, we're not going to watch this whole video. I think it's like 6 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to check it out and marvel at the Tesla Gigafactory.
Welcome back to My View. I couldn't leave Texas without getting a closer look at the fascinating work being done at Tesla, while the world is busy taking aim at its CEO. From the showroom to the factory floor, the technology at work is groundbreaking, and I was lucky enough to get a front row seat.
This is where it actually all happens, right? What are we seeing in here?
This is the machine that builds the machine.
It really is.
So here in Texas, we make Model Ys and Cybertrucks.
Okay.
So this side of the factory is mostly Model Y, and we're currently walking into the middle of Cybertrucks. Yeah.
And I have to say, this facility is so clean. I feel like I've never been in a space, a sort of a manufacturing type location where it feels so clean.
2 tricks on manufacturing I've always learned is
You probably ain't never been in no manufacturing place. You are Lord Trump, please. Come on.
you can't fix quality from a conference room, and happy people build good cars and trucks. And so people like a nice, clean place to work in. So now Model Y.
Does that dude look like Shane Gillis to y'all? That dude looks so much like Shane Gillis. I expect him to crack a joke.
Most American-made
Oh, is that it?
car
Okay.
in the U.S.
And these are brand new. These have just been made and are rolling off the factory line.
Yes. We just kicked off. The cars now drive themselves from the end of the production line over to the ship out logistics lot by
These
themselves.
cars are going to drive themselves. Look at this. There it goes.
Yeah, right here.
Nobody's in there. Wow. That's amazing. That is so cool. Only Elon Musk could do this.
The first product was Model Y.
Uh-huh.
And so this building went up. I think Elon quotes it as the quickest construction project since World War II.
And I heard
Look at
Elon
that.
Musk told me this building is 3 times the size of the Pentagon. Is that
Yes,
right?
you can put 3 pentagons inside this building.
Wow.
So this is what we call WAHA, which is headlight and wheel alignment. And then they come.
Think about the amount of jobs that they could offer at such a facility. Think about all these people who are being able to feed their families, take care of their lives, to advance themselves, all off the building of this Tesla facility over in Texas.
Come over to the final. We put an aero shield at the bottom of the car that helps with to get more mileage for aerodynamics. And so that's the final step here. And then they go here to where we just saw them leave and drive over to the logistics lot.
Amazing.
And then they get on a truck and go to customers.
All right, what else do we have?
Well, we're going to go down some Cybertruck lines and show you some more of the
Love
process.
a Cybertruck. Let's go. When I first saw a Cybertruck, I think everybody has the same reaction. You've never seen anything on the road like it. And I think so many people thought that it was, first I think people thought, I don't know, that's kind of ugly. And then people really kind of love them now.
Oh, once
Yeah.
you get inside of it and just get to experience it, it's the coolest machine ever. You can go 4-wheeling in the back, 40, and then get up.
It's true. It's ugly as hell on the outside, but the interior is, the inside of these things are magnificent. It's just the idea of a person who, as a child dreamt of being in a spaceship and all these type of things. This is what you get when you get into one of these vehicles, and that's the allure. That's truly the allure.
Get on the highway and just do 0 and 60 in like no time flat, which is awesome. Another really good thing about Tesla is we're very vertically integrated. So what that means is we build our own seats, we build our own motors, we build our own battery packs, we build our own cells that go into the battery packs. And so, there's always great things to learn about lean manufacturing if you reduce your inventory to help drive costs. But probably the biggest gift that gives.
Did he say that they built their own batteries? I gotta rewind that because it's important if they built their own batteries.
In no time flat, which is awesome. Another really good thing about Tesla is we're very vertically integrated. So what that means is we build our own seats, we build our own motors, we build our own battery packs, we build our own cells that go into the battery packs. And
Didn't
so,
say shit about the batteries.
it's always great things to learn about, like lean manufacturing if you reduce your inventory to help drive costs. But probably the biggest gift that gives you is the ability to go quickly on things and change
Right,
things.
you don't have to wait. There's no supply chain.
Most people are not as quick as we are.
Is this machines doing it on this side?
So this is machines doing this side, and the Cybertruck is very straight angles. So the body panels have to be very, very precise on how we, on accuracy of where we put the body panels at. So like when we have those kind of applications, like we use a robot to
You want to
get
have
that
a
kind of
robot.
precision.
But over on this side, we actually have people, humans, who are putting things together.
A lot of it goes down to each station and each task you get to. We do an engineering study and see what's the best way to do that task and the best, we look at ergonomics, we look at like tolerance stack up of parts, driving everything to nominal. So that's what kind of goes into the decision. And see, now we have the side panels on the trucks.
All right, so, and that's what I want to get to, because the biggest fear on, Tesla and their factories are the automation. The fear that it is going to be majority automation and it's not going to be a lot of jobs available. And of course, that is true to some degree, but there are people that are going to get opportunities to work in these factories. There's people working on one side of this factory. You got automation all the way around. And it's going to be, because it's one of those things that unions, they're always trying to fight against automation, but you can't fight against progress. Can't fight against the future. You just got to accept it and work around it. And that's going to be very specific for a lot of people, specifically in these kind of industries. If you work in factories to the point where your job doesn't require you to have a certain education, a certain certification, and you're just in there working, then that's when the opportunities are going to be hard to come by, and that you should probably, start to spend some time furthering yourself to the point where you have those certifications and those things that when a position like that you have, where it's more just physical and not mental, then when it comes to a situation where automation is starting to push into that industry and starting to push you out, then you're prepared for that. But all in all, it's a great thing for the state of Texas. It's a great thing for America because, of course, more job opportunities, more vehicles being concentratedly built here in America for Americans to buy so they can afford, if they have this big old fear of tariffs and all that kind of thing. So just a great thing. I always think no matter what company it is, if they're bringing job opportunity to America, it's a great thing. And I'm going to be positive about it. All right, so let's keep it going. Last storyline. So we're going to talk a little bit about the situation that had happened with the father that took it upon his own hands to seek revenge against the police department that supposedly shot and killed his child. Okay, so let's check out this story. I know most people have already heard about this already, and it's pertinent to the Car Concierge show because, of course, vehicular manslaughter. But it's definitely something that we want.
No, there were no indications at any point that he tried to brake, stop, or otherwise avoid Deputy Henderson. We believe, based on our investigation, the witnesses that we spoke to up to this point, that Hinton left our office and was traveling and came upon Deputy Hinton and made an intentional decision to drive directly at Deputy Hinton and strike him and kill him.
An Ohio man has been charged with aggravated murder after police say he struck a sheriff's deputy with a car.
There will be an order of remand with no bond.
Prosecutors say the case is linked to another killing the previous day.
This is a most unusual case.
On Thursday, a Cincinnati police officer fatally shot an armed 18-year-old as he ran from what police described as a stolen car. Authorities say Rodney Hinton was one of 4 men who were fleeing after officers found them in the car. An officer says it appeared to him that Hinton pointed a gun at him. but the officer's body camera footage does not clearly capture the moment. The officer who shot Hinton has not been publicly named. Police said they recovered a handgun they say Hinton had been carrying. It had not been fired, according to the Cincinnati police chief.
Ryan was a sweet, gentle giant. We as black people, we don't deserve to be killed just because we're running away from the police.
Being in a stolen car, having a firearms, we're in Ohio, so you can open carry in Ohio. So that's not a death penalty.
The next day, his father, Rodney Hinton Jr., became distraught while watching police body camera footage of the killing. His family attorney told the Cincinnati Enquirer. Hours later, prosecutors allege Hinton purposefully struck and killed long-serving Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson as he was directing traffic at a commencement.
I don't think he was a cop killer. I think he was not in his right mind. And I think he should be treated like any other mentally ill person that commits a crime under the auspices, control, and authority of a mental defect in a condition. That's what we have in this case.
It's just okay. So this is just horrible stuff all the way around. From top to bottom, it's horrible stuff. So let's start with we'll start with the police. Okay, so like the gentleman said, Ohio is an open carry place. Having a gun on you is not something that you should be killed for. That is absolutely unequivocally true. But what situation we're in is that the young man was riding around in what is considered to be a stolen car. We definitely have to make sure that we have all our facts together. But a vehicle that they stated was a stolen vehicle. And they're stating that and we saw the young man running from the vehicle, running from the police. So we know for a fact that the young man was breaking the law. That we cannot get around. It was statements that the young man was a Kia boy, was a well-known Kia boy, a well-known kid that was stealing cars. We don't know that to be true, so I'm not going to put that on him. But we do know that he was in the car that police were chasing, and we do know that he was running from police. So that in itself bears to the fact that there is a kind of correlation with the father and the son on obviously how the father either raised the son or reacted with the son to the ways they dealt with the world, because the son obviously was in a situation where he was not doing the right thing. He was obviously hanging around with the wrong people, obviously running from police, which is a crime, and all these other things that are things that are impetuous, things that people do when they don't have the right state of mind. They think that they can do things that they're not. They have a like a criminal mindset. And we have to believe that his father had I'm not going to sit here and say a criminal mindset because I don't know his past. I don't know what kind of person he was, but we do know that he had a tendency to be emotional and a tendency to react off his emotions, because that's exactly what he did. The man was leaving a situation where he was sitting there watching police video where his child was killed. He was completely and utterly emotional. Completely and utterly emotional. Completely and utterly in a mindset of the police did something to my child and I need to do something to them. And that is not the correct mindset to have. That is a emotional mindset. That is a mindset that is held for a lesser than a man. And he reacted on it and used his vehicle to kill a police officer that didn't have anything whatsoever to do with this situation with his child. Not one iota. And that's why we know it's an emotional reaction. I think, and this is not a good thing to say, but you would more understand it if he did something to try to hurt the police officer that shot his son. Not some random, I hate to say that, random, but not some officer about to retire. I think he was already retired, just doing simple civil service. You took this man's life, took him from his family because you were emotional, because you reacted emotionally. And we can only surmise that, if you have a son that is running around with the Kia boys, jumping out of stolen cars, running from the police, he was probably taught that lack of he was raised in a situation where he could be emotional and do emotional and rational things like steal cars, and he would mentally think he would get away with it. We can see that. We can understand that if you, my friend, are crashing out and killing someone straight off emotions, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't understand emotions. Anybody who loses a child in that type of situation is going to be emotional. But you're a man. You have to be stoic. You have to act in the right manner. You have to make sure that you're not in prison for the rest of your life because you lost your child. I'm assuming in most cases that you have other children that are going to need you. You have maybe a wife or family members, just any family members that would need you out on these streets. And you took that away from them because you were emotional about the loss of your son, which I understand. I understand being emotional about the loss of your son. I understand being emotional about any situation like that. But you can't act on it. You just definitely cannot act on your emotions like you did. Now your life is ruined. Now, I mind you, you lose your son like that, you feel like your life is ruined already. But now it's definitely ruined. Now it's definitely ruined. All right, my friends, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of y'all. I am your boy Chris Surratt. It's a pleasure as always. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.